Non-US LLC owners are filing Form 5472 and 1120 completely wrong. And even though most non-US LLC owners don't have to pay any taxes, one tiny mistake can cost you thousands of dollars in IRS penalties or cause your LLC to not be in good standing. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire process step by step, from filing the forms correctly, avoiding the common mistakes that most people make, faxing it to the IRS, and even converting your documents to the required 300 DPI. There are some unique cases where a non-US LLC business might have effectively connected income, like if you have employees or you have a physical presence in the US. Then that's a completely different situation, which requires you to pay taxes to the US. For context, I'm a remote worker who mostly does business from my Nigerian home office for clients online. I don't have to pay taxes because I don't have a physical presence or effectively connected income to the US. All I need to do is file the Form 5472 and 1120 pro forma every year before the 15th of April. If you have a similar setup, then you should follow along. So let's get started. The first thing, of course, for us to do is to head over to Google and do a search for IRS Form 5472 and also Form 1120. And we're going to see something like this pop up. For 5472, tap on the irs.gov website. Go in here, we're going to see Form 5472. Click on the PDF file. And I recommend downloading this file. You might have one from a previous year filing, but you want to go in and download these forms afresh. So this is the one for 5472. It still says 2023, but still just download so that in case there's any changes in the form, you are going to have the current one. Same thing as well for 1120. If you do a search here, you can see the 1120 form. You go in and go to the PDF, and the 1120 is, it shows 2025, so it's been updated, it's current. So you see why I said you need to download the form every single year. Because this is a cover page, we're only going to be using the first page. We're going to be filling out the first page. You don't necessarily need all the other pages. So I'm going to download all of the files. I've already filled out a sample form for us to see exactly the whole process without wasting your time. So I'm just going to walk you through everything that I have done. And so here is the sample PDF form that I've already gone on to fill out. It has about 5 pages. Let me quickly show you. So we have 5 pages. The first page is the 1120. Like I said, I've taken out all the other forms that we don't need. Just the top page is what we took to be our cover page. So the 1120, and then we have the 5472, about 3 pages of that 5472, and then we have an attachment, which I'm going to explain to you what this is as we go along. So let's go back to the top. So the first thing to do is you have to manually add foreign-owned USDE, foreign-owned US disregarded entity on the top, bold. So when you download the form, it wouldn't have this, so you have to add this yourself. It's very important. So next, we move on to the date of your tax year. So for me, it's January 1st to December the 31st. We are in 2026, but I'm filing for 2025. So it's going to be January 1st of 2025 to 31st of 2025. So next we have the name of the LLC and your employer identification number, your EIN. And then after that, we're going to enter our address. Now, when it comes to address, you can, or it's often recommended for you to use the address on your LLC registration, which is often going to be your US LLC, US address. But it's also completely fine for you to use your permanent address in your home country. And I actually like to use that because what I've learned is from time to time, you might have to change your LLC address. Maybe you used to use a virtual address that you have now changed, and therefore you have to update that whenever you're putting in, whenever you're filing your taxes in a coming year. So, but if you have it as your permanent address, you don't have to bother because that's your permanent address. That's not changing. So there's no rule against you not using your permanent address is what I'm saying. But anytime that you change your address, you're going to have to check the address change here. So anyway, I've gone on to impute my address here. And then if we go down, we don't have any other thing to fill out in the 1120. It's just the cover page. Like I've said, all you have to do now is sign the bottom of the page if you are the one who is signing it or somebody is preparing it for you. But of course, in my case, I'm doing this for myself, so I'm just going to sign with my name and then enter the date And then for the title, I'm going to say owner because I own 100% of my LLC. Now, when it comes to signature as well, one thing I've seen in the community where people always argue or they find it confusing is whether they should hand sign or they can digitally sign by just putting in their name like I've done here. Again, there's no hard and fast rule. You can totally sign with your signature, or you can use your name. There's no hard and fast rule here. For me, I just like to keep it simple and use my name. Okay, so moving on, now we have the 5472 proper. Again, it's going to start with your date. Next, we're going to enter our LLC name again and enter our employer identification number and our address, same as before. Whatever you filled on top there, you're going to enter that here again. And then for principal business activity, you're going to enter what category your business falls under. And this should be an information that is on your LLC record. Okay. And there is also a principal business activity code. And to find this, if you use a service like Busy for your formation, you can go to the company info section and you're going to get that information. For me here, it's the musical groups and artists, and you can see the code. And also you can get the information by going to Google and searching for IRS business activity code. And you'll see a PDF document of all the codes. As you can see here again, this is mine. The musical groups and artists, you can see it's 711130. So they're all here. You can, if you don't have the code, maybe you know the category, but you don't have the code, you can just do this search, get this PDF, and find what code is attached to your industry. So next, we're going to go to 1F, which is where we're going to enter our total value of gross payments made or received. So this is the sum total of the amounts of money you spent on your business and also that you made as profit in your business. So that's capital contribution and capital distribution. And for easy math, I've just gone with $15,000, and I'm going to explain this number a little bit more when we get to the section of attached document. So supporting document. So we put that number in these two columns in 1F and 1H. We're going to have our total number there, and we're going to have total number of forms 54725 for the tax year. Of course, it's 1 because we're filing the only one here. So for 1J, check here if this is the initial year for which your US reporting corporation is filing. So if this is your first year, you're going to simply check this. But it is not the first year for me. And I need to mention, I think there's somewhere else here in the top in 1120, in your 1120, the cover page, you also should check here if it's your initial year of filing your return. So for me, I didn't check it because it's not my initial year. So for 1K, total number of parts attached to form 5472, parts 8. So we're not attaching anything from part 8. Let's go down and confirm. So from here, everything here we checked. Okay, no. From here, everything here we checked off as no. So we're not attaching any supporting document for that. The only place where we're going to attach a supporting document is part 5 and part 6. So that's why we're going to leave this blank. And then for country of incorporation, of course, our business is incorporated in the US. We repeat our date of incorporation. For me, that's January the 16th of 2024. And then for countries under whose laws the reporting corporation files an income tax return as a resident, I am going to enter my country code as NI, which stands for Nigeria. Now, I've seen some people fill this part as US, and also for principal countries where business is conducted, a lot of people fill this as the US. For this one, definitely is going to be your home country, because it says countries under whose laws the reporting corporation files an income tax return as a resident. Unless you're a resident, a tax resident of the US, that's the only time you're going to enter the US here. But if you're not a tax resident of the US, I am a tax resident of Nigeria, so I have to enter Nigeria here and not the US. If you enter the US here, then you're saying you should be paying taxes as a US resident. I pay my taxes in Nigeria. Then moving on here, principal countries where business is conducted. Again, it's possible for you to be a non-US LLC owner who has presence in the US, and therefore your business is conducted in the US and you're going to enter the US here. That can be your situation, but it's not my situation. Like I said in the beginning, I said my context is I'm a Nigerian and I'm not conducting business in US. Therefore, I'm going to enter my principal country here as Nigeria. I hope that makes sense. So one thing I like to point out whenever I make this video is when it comes to the country code, sometimes the IRS country code might be different from the international country code. So if I do a quick check for international country code, and I go in here, you can see the international country code for Nigeria is NG. The 2 letters is NG, for 3 letters is NGA. And NI is for Nicaragua and NE is for Niger. But if I do a search for IRS country codes, you can see, again, if I look for Nigeria, you can see that Nigeria is represented as NI. So while internationally we're represented as NG, the IRS identifies us as NI, and NG is for Niger Republic, and NU is used for Nicaragua, which I think is different as well. You need to double check to make sure that the IRS country code you're using is correct. So moving on, we go to part 2. Here we're going to have to enter our 25% foreign shareholder information, my name, and then my address. So for US identifying number, I can just enter foreign US. And then for reference ID number, this is a number that you will make up for yourself, but you have to remember that number. It's a unique identifier that the IRS will use to identify you, even though it's made up by you. But the only thing you need to know if this is your first time of doing this is whatever number you make up here as your reference ID number, you must remember it and use the same one every single year going forward. And then for foreign taxpayer identification number, this is going to be your tax identification number in your country. In Nigeria, we have our tax identification number, the TIN, or you can also use your NIN. And in whatever country you live in, you should have your tax identification number. But if you don't, you can leave that blank. And then here we're going to enter foreign countries where business is conducted, or principal country where business is conducted. Again, just like before, it's going to be my country code, and then country of citizenship, or citizenship, organization, or incorporation. So this is going to be my country as well, because this is my country of citizenship. It's not the US. I'm not a US citizen. And then countries under whose laws the direct 25% foreign shareholder files an income tax return as a resident. Again, don't confuse that with the US. It's going to be your country. So I enter my country code. And then moving on to part 3, we're just going to repeat the same thing, but here we're going to select check the foreign person here, because, and in my case, and I'm guessing yours as well, we are a foreign person. So again, I'm going to provide my name and my address and the zip code and all of that. I'm going to enter the foreign US here, and then my code, again, my reference number, and my foreign tax identification number if I have that. And then we're going to provide the principal business activity again, and then we're going to enter our principal business activity code. And here we're going to select foreign 25% foreign shareholder, and then for principal country where business is conducted, again my country, and for country where you pay your tax return as a resident, again my country. And then moving forward to part 5, we are going to leave this completely blank because it doesn't really apply to my unique situation, but you can read through and see if it applies to you. For instance, quickly going through this, you can see sales of stock in trade. That doesn't apply to me. Sales of lease and license, royalties, rent, cost sharing transactions. These things don't really apply to me. So it's okay to leave it blank, and then move on to part 5 and 6. And in part 5 and 6, we're going to check this, and then we are going to have to provide a supporting document. So if you read this, it's going to say reportable transaction of a reporting corporation that is a foreign owned USDE. So describe on an attached separate sheet any other transactions as defined by regulation, such as amount paid or received in connection with your formation, dissolution, acquisition, or just anything around your business. So your capital contributions and distribution. And you have to check this because it's near impossible for you to have an LLC that is running without having capital contribution at least capital contribution, if not distribution, but you have to have capital contribution. And that's because for your LLC to be running, you have to have your registered agent fee renewed for the year, and that is capital contribution. So you have to check this, and part 5 and 6, because this is for transactions between the reporting corporation and the foreign related party. So this is stuff that maybe you didn't, non-monetary activities you do in your business that maybe you're not compensated for. And of course, every business you must have done something that you were not paid for. So we're just going to check the 5 and 6, and we're going to attach that document, and I'll show you what that document looks like in a minute. Moving on to part 7, we're almost going to have to check everything here as no. If you read through, does the reporting corporation import goods from a foreign related party? For me, it's no. Your business has to be a specific type of business for you to have to answer yes and provide any information to most of this. So, but if you are in my type of situation where you run an online business, or you're a remote worker, something, you don't have to provide any information or fill this as yes. So most of them is most likely going to be no, but you want to read through and make sure for your unique case you don't have to answer any of these as yes. Going on to the next part as well, everything here is no. And then to part 9, we are going to also skip all of that because nothing here applies to us. And that is all that we have to fill in this form. And finally, we're going to attach the supporting document, and it's going to look something like this. I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to download this supporting document and use it as a reference to attach to your own document. So you can use the same one as a template and just change the things that you need to change. So first, the thing you need to change most likely will be your the company name, and then your capital contribution and capital distribution, and then also your tax identification, your employer identification number, your EIN. So, but the template is going to read something like this: the LLC is a foreign-owned, disregarded entity, and the LLC is not engaged in U.S. trade or business, and the LLC does not generate any U.S. source income that is effectively connected to a U.S. trade or business. And then this is just removing you to further explain to the IRS that you don't have to pay any taxes, you don't have any ECI, effectively connected income. And then the form 5472 is filled to disclose the capital contributions and distribution between the LLC and the sole member. And then you proceed to just give a short breakdown of your capital contribution in the year and distribution. So capital contribution is how much you spent in your business, and capital distribution is how much you took out of your business, like as profit. So that sum total is what is going to make your gross gross amount, which is how we got to the number of 15,000 here when we said total value of gross payments received and reported, gross payments made or received and reported. So we have 15,000 because our capital contribution is 1,000 and our capital distribution, money we took out of the business, is 14,000. And of course, these numbers are made up. So it's very important that you keep records and also use a single business account. So for me, for instance, I run my business through a single business PayPal account opened for my LLC and using my LLC records. And then also I withdraw money out of there into my LLC, into an LLC account, so that I'm not commingling funds. If it comes time for taxes, I can just download the report from PayPal or from my business accounts, and I can know how much I spent on my business in that year by seeing, how much stuff I paid for, maybe for softwares, for tools and gadgets, and also how much I withdrew as capital distribution. So for me, for instance, in 2025, this was my record of how much I spent in my business. So I'm keeping record of how much I paid for my hosting of my websites, my domain names, my Canva subscription, how much I paid for registered agent fee, some softwares that I paid for, phone numbers, anything that's business related. I keep records so that when it comes time for my filing, I can just take this number and subtract it from how much I made totally in my business to now get my capital distribution. And this number will be my capital contribution, money I spent in my business. So you want to do this throughout the year so that it's easy for you to compile everything and get to do the simple math. And so that sums up the whole form and everything you need to do. And then when it comes to submitting your form, the requirement for the quality of the file should be 300 dpi, and I have a video that will teach you how to get your form to 300 dpi, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. I just don't want this video to be too long. And once you have your form ready to be submitted and you've double checked and everything is in place, I like to use Fax Plus, and you can check the link in the description. It will be an affiliate link. I will greatly appreciate if you use that link. So Fax Plus is the one I use. For you to send your fax, this is the number. You can check it out on the IRS website every single year. You want to double check to make sure that the fax number have not changed. To send the fax, I'm going to click on send fax and upload my document. So once you upload your document like this, you are going to then enter the number. Make sure you have the +1. I think on the IRS website, they don't add the +1. They just give you the number, but you have to add +1 for this to work. Okay, so once you add the number, you simply attach your file, attach everything as one document that's been consolidated. You have your 1120 and your 5472, the 3 pages, and your supporting document, making 5 pages, and then you have them all together. Okay, so once you have that, you simply click on send. Don't forget to check out the links in the description to get access to the sample document I've used in the video today. And so you can see the filled out 1120, 5472, and the federal supporting document. And also in the description, you're going to find a link to Fax Plus. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.